morning, everyone. It's time to go on the record.
This was not a criminal proceeding. They could not have subpoenaed that phone.
Tom Brady needs the win of a lifetime as he heads to a federal court conference on Wednesday. Our legal analyst Martha Coakley is here this morning to review Brady's options.
I'm fluent in Clinton speak. When she says, I'll tell you about building the pipeline when I get to be president, means she won't.
GOP presidential hopefuls take aim at Hillary Clinton. This as the Democrat frontrunner sees a likely challenge from a political ally.
Vice President Joe Biden says he might run for president. We get reaction.
From WCPB Boston, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed Harding, along with News Center 5 political reporter Janet Wu. Thank you for joining us on OTR this morning. And our guest is the former two-time Attorney General Martha Coakley. She is now currently the legal analyst here at News Center 5. We have called her in. We've called in the big guns to talk about politics and Deflategate. Maybe one of these days we won't have to talk about Deflategate, but it's still in the middle of the consciousness.
Right now, it's a hot topic,
right
even
now
hotter
it's a hot
than
topic.
a lot of politics that's
Right.
going on right now. So this coming week, there's going to be a meeting between Tom Brady and his union with the NFL and Roger Goodell. How important is it that they try to reach some sort of a settlement, or has that ship sailed?
Oh, I think there's a good chance they can and will reach a settlement. The judge has indicated he would like them to. This is a situation, I think, where both sides, although they have good cases, Goodell obviously has a lot of discretion, but I think has some problems with what he's done in this. And Tom Brady, I know, feels very strongly about this, but also wants, I think, to get on with it. So I see a huge opportunity here for them both to kind of save face, reach a resolution, maybe a game suspension, maybe 2 games, and then move on. They want it done before the season opens.
As a civilian, unlike Ed, I can see why Tom Brady would want a settlement. What's the biggest motivation for the NFL to reach a settlement,
well,
as opposed to going to trial?
You know, Goodell has a lot to lose. He's staked a lot of his discretion, his leadership, getting tough on the internal policing that he knows he needs to do with the NFL. And if he loses now in front of the court in a bad way, that cuts down what he can do in the future. And I think they both, at this stage of the game, look at the money the NFL has spent, over $300 million.
Well, it's a $13 billion a year industry to begin with.
Well, it is, but they should be focused on football and playing and fans. I know this is a little bit of a sideshow and it's been interesting, but once the season starts, I think they want this out of the way.
There's been conversation about this thing. You know,
Your cell phone?
My cell phone. The NFL has artfully shifted the conversation away from deflated footballs to whether a cell phone was destroyed or whatever it was. First of all, as we heard you say in the intro, the NFL doesn't have the power of subpoena, but if it goes further, even if the phone was destroyed, could that phone be subpoenaed?
Well, it's gone, so it can't be. I don't think the court will be distracted by that. That was my sense, that they artfully did sort of change when the decision came out, oh, it's about the destruction of evidence. And I admit, at least people don't think it looks good. But I think it's after the fact, and it's irrelevant to the merits of this. I think it's a red herring. I don't think the federal court's going to look at it.
I have in my hands, this is the actual transcript from Brady when he talked to Roger Goodell, and it's 400
pages. It's like
pages.
a trial transcript.
But everyone's been focused on the word destroyed, right?
Yes.
The word destroyed came from Brady's attorney when he was talking to Tom Brady. He said, in the context of the sentence, now you have had practice, so tell me when it began, how long ago, of destroying your cell phone. So the word destroy came from Brady's company. It didn't come from the NFL commissioner. But be that as it may, you and I have talked about this live on News Center 5.
Yes.
Is there a case of entrapment here? The NFL knew Saturday night before the championship game that there were complaints about the air pressures in the footballs. They allowed the footballs to go into the game without their own supervision. Did they operate a sting? Did they entrap the Patriots?
Well, I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to go into that, which a federal court might look at. But it seems like that is still tail wagging the dog here, right? The phone, did another team rat them out? You know, at some stage, this is a little bit like a crazy football Game of Thrones. Like, who has the power? Who's going to decide this? And I think all the parties should sit down and figure out what is going to make everybody be able to save face and move on. I think they will do that.
I'm sort of moving 3 steps ahead, 3 moves ahead, but if this does end up going to trial and Brady loses, Does he have any further legal recourse, and what is it?
Probably not. And remember, they'll run out of time. If he loses, what that means is that the 4-game suspension will stay as is. The team's already been fined. They lose their draft picks. You know, Bob Kraft has already acknowledged he wished he didn't do that because he thought it would help Brady. And I do think that might help a federal court look at what the equities are here. But nothing worse will happen than what Goodell has already given to Tom Brady in this.
I don't want to stay focused on Patriots or ex-Patriots, but I wanted to ask you about the Aaron Hernandez case. There are now questions about the veracity of a tipster trying to negate the first verdict, and there are questions about the evidence that can be used in an upcoming double murder trial. So how do you see that potentially playing out with Aaron Hernandez?
Well, on the case that's already been tried, the defense lawyers are going to, as we've seen, try every single thing at this stage to try and get a new trial, to try and cause some problem with the juror selection or the juror's decision or a juror who might have already known about these other murders. It's very much an issue that the court would look at. But now they've run into trouble because the court is saying, well, wait a minute, as the prosecution had said, maybe I haven't really raised an issue here to look at the jurors. He has a lot of legal trouble ahead of him with this other case that's coming to trial. So his lawyers in that case and presumably in the Boston case are going to try everything possible.
Do you think it'll significantly delay the trial starting?
Probably not.
The one here in Boston?
I think it's unlikely that it will delay the Boston trial. It'll be up to the judge here, obviously. They will try and, as they have to, keep them very separate. It's going to be a little bit harder now with the prior trial to get jurors who don't know about the first trial.
All right, I want to switch to the OTR Pop Quiz. You thought you weren't going to get an OTR Pop Quiz.
Well, as we say in court, we're ready until reached.
Good line.
I'm going to write that one. That's
Good
I like
line,
it.
good line.
All right, we're going to ask you to put the political hat back on because today's the OTR Pop Quiz is about famous political quotes. Number 1, Mo Udall said it first. The only cure for Potomac fever is embalming fluid. What 2-time former Republican candidate for president and war hero now uses this pithy phrase?
Oh, current candidate for president?
No, but he's a former Republican candidate and war hero.
Romney.
John McCain.
Ah.
Question 2.
Romney's not a war hero.
Well, it depends on the war, right? I mean, what Massachusetts Democrat said this? There is nobody in this country who got rich on their own. Nobody. You built a factory out there. Good for you.
Elizabeth Warren.
That's it, Elizabeth Warren. So we
Yes.
continue on the record with Martha Coakley. Stay with us.